An entitled Karen demands that I move my campsite at a public beach, claiming that she wanted exactly where I was already setting up. But after I denied this Karen her request and told her that I wasn't gonna move, she then went into a rage, saying that if I don't move, that she was going to destroy my campsite the second I left. Here's what happened. Okay, so this happened Saturday. My family and I went on a camping trip at a fairly popular lake. I left early with my cousin to secure a site for everybody, but it got way too packed. We got there early enough that there was plenty of space for everybody there. We start setting up some tents, and this lady comes up to us and tells us that she is saving a spot for her family. We asked her which spot, and she actually gestured towards a whole 30-foot stretch of the beach. We then asked her where her equipment was, and she said it was on the way, to which I said, okay, well, it's a public beach and our stuff is already here, so I don't know what to tell you. And then I just continued setting up our tents. She tried to tell us that it was claimed, but I explained that it's first come, first serve, and that since it's a public beach, she can't decide that a portion of it is gonna be hers. Now, mind you, there was plenty of space all over, yet for some reason, she demands this spot specifically, despite the fact that we're already setting up camp. She continues whining as we continue to set up, and soon her big idiot husband comes up with a grandmother in tow, and she starts catching them up on everything. The husband is annoyed, but he doesn't bother us about it, and just starts to set everything up himself. Meanwhile, the grandma gets all angry. She says to us,
"Well, that's fine. I'm going to destroy their camp as soon as they leave."
I then asked her and I said, "Did you actually threaten to destroy my property?" To which she proudly said yes. I then said, "Ma'am, that's actionable." And she was about to say something before the husband spoke up and told her to let it be. It was pretty tense for a while, and I decided to stay behind while my cousin got the rest of the family, but thankfully things were pretty chill between us for the rest of the day. But the entitlement vibes were pretty intense coming from these women. She was telling her husband that I told her she wasn't allowed to camp there because of our camp, but I just rolled my eyes at her, and I told her, "I'm not telling you what you can or can't do. I don't have the authority to do that. We just set up our stuff first, and this is a public beach, so we have every right to be here just as much as you do." She then told me it wasn't fair because she had a big group coming, and I said, "It's Saturday. Everyone coming here is likely to bring a big group too, us included. You aren't the only one, and life isn't fair." She then got pretty livid at me saying that, but you know what? It is what it is, because this entitled Karen was just that, super entitled and very disrespectful. I can't imagine being so delusional that you would think it's okay to say, "Oh, I'm just going to destroy your setup as soon as you leave." So not only were these people planning on destroying your property, but they also said it out loud for everybody to hear. Like, seriously, you've got to be either really dumb or you really are just a massive piece of garbage. And it's also so weird that they're fixated on this campsite specifically, because the original poster said it best. There is this massive stretch of beach. They could literally set their campsite up anywhere along that beach and be just fine. But no, they just have to have this spot. This is the only spot they could ever want, and if you don't hand it over, they're going to destroy your property. Like, that is such an insane leap in logic and such a weird sense of entitlement. It honestly should not have gone unpunished. So good for the original poster for standing up for themselves, as well as not taking this garbage sitting down, because this entitled Karen absolutely deserved to be put in her place. If you like Am I the Jerk, you're probably going to love Am I the Genius. Check it out, link down below in the description. Also, go to amithejerk.com/submit if you would like to submit your own stories. Would I be the jerk if I asked my bridesmaid to drop out of my wedding since she's refusing to follow one of the most basic rules I could possibly offer? Here's what happened. My fiance and I are having our wedding in a little under a year, and we are so excited. I mean, this guy is the best man a girl could ever ask for. But if you haven't been through the wedding planning process, it is a nightmare. And the costs, I swear, just keep going up every single day. We dropped close to half of our budget on our dream venue, and we're also skimping on other things, including having a very small wedding. This venue is amazing, but it is very strict on certain things. Smoking is prohibited, which is fine. And in addition, the herb, if you know what I mean, is outlined individually as a big no-no. So there's no edibles, no smoking, no dab pens or anything, which is totally fine by me since my fiance and I don't smoke. Since this is a small wedding, the bridal party is also pretty small, but most of my bridesmaids are stoners. Well, my contract made me worried, and I have reached out to them about asking them not to bring any herb, including edibles. Now, every single girl except for one basically said you don't even need to ask. I wouldn't even think of bringing that to your wedding. This is your day. But the other girl, on the other hand, said that she was going to bring an edible to take after the ceremony. But I told her that it's specifically outlined in my contract that no guest or anyone can have it, or they will literally stop the wedding and everyone has to leave immediately. In addition, if you even have this on you, we will not get refunded for anything, and we will also lose the security deposit of $5,000. Well, she said to me, "It's fine, I know what I'm doing, no one's gonna know, and I was just gonna hide it from you anyways." Now, I still have time to talk to her again, but I'm very frustrated and very anxious because I could literally lose thousands of dollars if she gets caught. Even the website also specifically says that no one can bring that to the venue. My fiance and I are also planning on possibly having a dry wedding as we do not drink. So would I be the jerk if I asked her to step down? I plan on having a big meeting with everyone and outlining the contract again, and if she gets mad, then I'm just gonna tell her to drop out. What should I do? No, you would not be the jerk for kicking her out of your bridal party. Like seriously, what is she thinking? You specifically said, if you do this, we're gonna get in trouble. And the venue itself has said, yeah, you cannot bring that on our premises. So for this bridesmaid to be like, oh, you're not gonna know about it, I was gonna do it anyways. Like that is so inappropriate, it's not even funny. She's literally putting your wedding at risk, all because she wants to take an edible after the wedding. Like seriously, that can't wait a couple of hours. You're not asking a lot out of these people. And the original poster even said that in their state, this substance is illegal. So no, I don't blame you for wanting to kick her out, because if this was my wedding, I definitely would be doing the same thing, because she is jeopardizing you and everybody else's enjoyment of your big day, and you do not deserve to have that kind of added stress in your life. Am I the jerk for telling my sister to please stop talking about her divorce around me, because I feel that her divorce is literally her own fault, and I'm honestly so sick of hearing about it. Here's what happened. My sister and her husband are getting a divorce as he moved out of the family home and filed. My sister didn't see it coming, despite warnings that it could happen because she went behind his back. The story basically goes that she married him knowing that he had absolutely no interest in having his mom, stepdad, or half-siblings in his life. He didn't like his stepdad. He didn't want half-siblings. That was something everyone in our family knew. He was open about having no desire for contact. Well, my sister married him, had kids with him, and then decided he was wrong to deny his family for being steps and halves. So she was making contact and introducing the kids behind his back. She argued with him when he found out and said if nobody else, his half-siblings deserve to be included because they are the most innocent in his family. They didn't ask to be born, and they were not a part of any of the wrongs his mom and stepdad did. He told her he wanted nothing to do with them, and that they were not his real siblings anyways. He also told her that she had gone behind his back and had completely betrayed his trust, and he was not going to stand for it or allow their kids to see that man as grandpa or those kids as uncles and aunts. My sister doesn't want her marriage to end, but has also been pissed at her husband because he's correcting stuff that she told their kids about the stepdad and the half-siblings, and has told the kids that the stepdad and half-siblings are not family. She's mad at him for that because the kids are more resistant now to contact with their parental side and don't call them grandparents, aunts, or uncles or anything like that anymore. But on top of that, she also doesn't want to divorce her husband. It is a mess. It is absolutely crazy. My parents are encouraging her to open up and try to talk about it, but I'm much less sympathetic and much less patient. It's 6 months later since he filed, and I can't be around my extended family without hearing all about this. My sister goes from bad-mouthing her husband to then saying that she hopes he calls off the divorce and that they can work it out and be a family again. My sister also tries to talk to me just one-on-one about all of this. I think my reasoning for being so indifferent to this and being annoyed about hearing it is because she knew how I felt. She knew what his boundary was regarding his family. She had a choice not to marry him. She had a choice not to go behind his back. So to expect that he'd be fine with it when she knew, regardless of what anyone thinks of his actions, still proves that she was not that smart and that the results of her actions should not come as a surprise. Basically, I just don't feel bad for her. I do, however, feel bad for the kids being caught in the middle. When my sister tried to talk about the divorce again 2 or 3 days ago, I asked her to stop talking about it with and around me. She asked how I could be so cold, and I told her, well, it's not like people didn't warn her. In fact, my parents did before they got married, because they didn't love how her husband felt about the half-siblings either. I also explained that I'm tired of hearing about this over and over again. It is honestly getting so old. So am I the jerk for speaking my mind to my sister? What should I do? I don't think you're the jerk at all. Your sister clearly made an awful decision, and it's one that was very calculated and very misleading. She literally went behind her husband's back and brought the kids behind his back to meet these estranged family members. Like, if I was in the husband's shoes, I would feel so violated and disrespected. Like, this is a very hard line in the sand. He very clearly did not want anything to do with that side of his family, so for the wife to do that, in my opinion, is a massive deal breaker. And I personally find it very comical that she's so so suddenly surprised that he's like, oh yeah, I'm getting a divorce. Because what she did, in my opinion, is completely unforgivable. And if I was in the husband's shoes, I would have done the exact same thing. My mom's boyfriend and next door neighbor played a horrible prank on her that left my mother as a complete wreck. And now I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. So my mom, who's 59 years old, has been dating her next door neighbor who's 78 years old, and they've been dating for about 2 years. For the sake of the story, we'll call this next door neighbor Mark. Currently, she's out of state visiting her mother, and last week while I was at work, she called me in a complete panic. She said her condo kitchen, which is being remodeled, was flooding the entire building, and I needed to rush over with my spare key to turn off the water. I told her I'd leave immediately, but it would take me about 45 minutes to get there, and I suggested that she call Mark to try and break down the door since he didn't have a spare key. After hanging up, the seriousness of the situation hit me. I worried about the potential damage and the financial consequences for my mom, including lawsuits from other condo owners, and possibly losing her retirement. As I was drafting a message to my boss to explain why I needed to leave, my mom called me again. She said to me, "Don't go. Mark was playing a prank on me." And when I heard that, I was horrified. What kind of person thinks that this is funny? Mark knows my mom has anxiety and has been stressed about the remodel, and I just cannot fathom why he would do this. This morning, my mom provided some more context. She believes Mark did this out of pure revenge because she refused to leave him her key to install a wine rack as a surprise. And the more details that she shared, the more calculated it all seemed. He had sent her a picture showing about a foot of water with a message claiming her unit was flooding the building and that the building manager was trying to access her unit. When she called him for more information, he lied about a fire truck and police car being at the complex. He only admitted it was a joke after she told him that I was on my way. She sent him a text message expressing how cruel his prank was, and he responded by telling her to relax and enjoy her vacation without ever giving an apology. I'm very worried about my mom. If she ends the relationship, I'm afraid Mark might retaliate with another cruel act. Living next door to him means there's no way to avoid him. I need unbiased advice on how my mom should navigate this situation. How do you break up with someone who lives next door? How can I even begin to help her? Am I overreacting by thinking he could be dangerous for this prank? What should I do? Okay, first and foremost, I really hope your mom dumps this guy, regardless of if he lives next door or not, because this guy sounds like a bully through and through. He literally pranked your mom all because she didn't give him a key to her house. Like, that alone is creepy enough, but also for him to lie like that and be like, oh yeah, you're flooding the entire complex. Like, that is insane in my opinion, and it is so uncalled for. But I will say, if there is one thing that bullies don't like, it is whenever they get exposed for being a bully. So if she wants to break up with him, if I were in her shoes, I would buy like a doorbell camera of some kind, or even set up cameras around the property, just as a safety precaution against anything that Mark could do. And that is such disappointing behavior from somebody that I'm sure your mom thought she could have a future with. Like, this guy's almost 80 years old, and he's acting like a complete toddler. So hopefully your mom dumps this guy, because the way Mark was acting, in my opinion, was completely out of line. My coworker who's worked at this job for over 30 years is making my life a living nightmare, and now it has completely destroyed my sanity, as I am so sick of him treating me like garbage on a daily basis. Here's what happened. I'm a 29-year-old male, and I've been working at this restaurant for about a month now, and almost everybody seems nice. During service, there can be some stressful situations, but at the end of the day, we try to help each other out as much as we can. I say hi to everyone, and I try to be friendly, asking how their day was and how they're doing, and so on. Well, there's one colleague that just never returns the friendly vibe. He is a gray 50-something-year-old man who has been there for about 30 years. Whenever he wants to get something done from a new guy like me, he just shouts and doesn't even say please or thank you. And when things are not done in a certain way, or asked in a certain order, or the wrong words are used when asking for a drink, he'll just straight up ignore me. He will shout at me when I'm looking for a wrong table, when I forget to take out the straws in the glasses, etc. Now, I get there are rules for a reason, and that things have to be done in a certain way, but it's the way that he's trying to boss me around and trying to get things done that is just so inhumane. Also, when I ask him if he had a good weekend, he'll just say, yeah, without even looking at me, and then go on about his business. I tried to connect with him and have a good chat with him, trying to see the positives, but I simply can't seem to find them. Everything that I do wrong, he'll be letting me know, even when it's about absolutely nothing. Yesterday, I was finished with work, and we get to order a drink at the bar for free. He works behind the counter and scolded me for not finishing my glass of tap water, even though I definitely did. It sounds small, but there are so many remarks, and I'm just so fed up with it. Every small detail, every remark or glance is now piling up on me, and I just can't stand being near this guy anymore. It's like my armor fell off and it's slowly getting to me now. I mean, one of these days, I'll throw a tray of glass in his face and then I'm gonna get fired. And the thing that rubs me the wrong way is the fact that he only does this with new guys and not the girls. He's a 50-something-year-old guy who has gray hair and glasses, and he'll be playing friendly with all the teenage girls and being the smooth server to customers. But if he comes to new guys, he will be an absolute bully. And it is not just me, because other new guys have also come to me and said, be careful with this guy. He's destroying my sanity at work, and they can't really fire him since he's been there for 30-something years. He is an absolute beast of a server, but he's a frustrated little man destroying young coworkers. And I'm honestly having trouble dealing with this. It really grinds my gears that someone would be like that. I mean, what's the point? He can't be enjoying this, right? He is very work and productivity oriented, but he must realize this makes me a worse server than being constructive and an actual human being, right? I honestly feel like I'm at such a loss because right now I don't know what to do. Okay, for starters, I would just say straight up that there is no point in working at a restaurant like that. That's just my gut instinct, especially when you see someone who's been there for 30 years and they not only haven't moved up from being a server, but also they haven't been fired for the way they're treating their coworkers. So to that end, I think you absolutely have no reason to even bother working at this place, because that guy alone would not make it worth it, because I guarantee you the managers do not care how he acts. But also, on that same note, this guy's trying to play buddy-buddy with the teenage girls because he's a weirdo. He's trying to get close to these female coworkers because in my opinion, he's a creep. And at the same time, he wants to avoid the male coworkers because he doesn't want you to get in the way of him being around these women. Like, this is all just some kind of weird, desperate power play from someone who clearly is an absolute loser. Now, I need to disagree with you on something because in my opinion, it is just not true. You said that they can't really fire him because he's been there for 30-something years, but that is definitely not true. In my opinion, anyone can get fired for anything, and just because someone's worked there for 30 years doesn't mean that they're above the standards set in the workplace. So if I was in your shoes, I would not only be looking for another job because you do not deserve this kind of garbage in the first place, but also I would be complaining to management. I would say to them, guys, this is inappropriate. This guy attacks and treats everybody like garbage, and he's making me and all my other coworkers feel like garbage as well. And based on their reaction to that, I think that might be an indication of whether or not you need to stick around, because if they're dismissive and they're like, oh, he's just been here for 30 years, you just learned to deal with it, then that's like a big red flag that you're like, okay, this place is not for me. But maybe there's a situation where they might do something about it and say, hey, you've got to lay off the new guys. The other aspect of this that I think you really need to consider is that maybe it's time to step up, lace up your bootstraps, and give it right back to this guy. Because if someone's going to talk to me like that at work of all places, you better believe I'm going to give that energy right back to them. I will absolutely be like, no, you are not going to talk to me like that. Because what do you have to lose? You've only been there for a month. The least you can do is set yourself up for success by saying, okay, if we're going to work together, you are definitely not going to talk to me like that. And just because this guy's worked there for what, 30 years, doesn't give him the right to try and talk to you like that. Remember, this guy is your coworker. He is not your boss. He has no power over you. So hopefully this all works out and you don't try to like connect with him any further, because this guy sounds like an absolute loser and you deserve way better than what this guy's trying to give you. Am I the jerk for calling out the volunteer church organizer after all the awful things she said about my daughter-in-law? Here's what happened. So my daughter-in-law just lost both of her parents, her mother earlier this year and her dad when she was 15 years old. I love her like she's my own, and I'm so proud of her and how far she's come along. I am very involved in my church, and we were planning an event for my mom's kids. It coincided with my monthly sack lunch ministry for seniors, so in the morning we'd all make lunches and then we'd do other things. We would make friendship bracelets, run around, grill or tie-dye, stuff like that. My daughter-in-law is not religious, but she does like to give back, so when I invited her, she accepted. We got the lunch supplies and she helped with the lunches. She even offered to go deliver them to the organization that we work with, since she has a big car. Well, this is when the church organizer, who we will call Kathy, started having an issue. She thanked my daughter-in-law and said that would be all we needed from her all day and that she can go home afterwards. But I said no. My daughter-in-law is here to spend the day with me and have fun with everybody. Kathy then had the gall to make an ugly face as she said to me, she's not anybody's daughter. So I said to her, that's okay, she's my daughter-in-law. And I said that just in case Kathy didn't know. Kathy then made another ugly face and said that didn't count and that she didn't even belong here, which really ruffled my feathers. Because seriously, everyone should be allowed. If one of the dads wanted to come join us, I would have said yes. Like seriously, who cares? cares? We got into an argument and my daughter-in-law ended up crying. Again, she just lost her mom. She left and told me to have fun, and I rounded on Kathy. And I told her that what she had just done was as unchristian as I'd ever seen, and that if she can't find it in her heart to welcome everybody to our events, then she should not be the volunteer organizer. Kathy told me, well, tough cookies if you don't like that, and then said I need to take it up with the church office. Now, a few other members overheard the conversation, and as I got ready to load up my van for the sack lunches, a few helped me and got to talking about how awful Kathy has been. After I left, they all cornered Kathy and said they would all talk to the church office. Well, needless to say, she isn't the organizer anymore, and she has been in this position for over 2 decades. She then ended up confronting me after church, raising her voice and getting in my face. She told me that I had ruined her life over my daughter-in-law not belonging to the church, and that she hopes I was happy. Now, I admit I did feel bad after that, but I'm not sure if I should. So am I the jerk in this situation? What should I do? Okay, I'm gonna say it. People like Kathy in any organization are the reason why people stop going to said organization. And I'm sure all of us have met a Kathy in whatever church, club, or any kind of like organization we've been a part of. They try to gatekeep anybody having fun, and they try to act like, oh yeah, you're not really welcome here. You're nobody's daughter. Like, this lady absolutely had to go. So honestly, who cares what Kathy thinks? She is literally an idiot for the way she excluded your daughter-in-law, and if I was in your shoes, I would have done the exact same thing. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist at the top of the description. And if you want some chill music to put on in the background, check out easymode.com. If you like Am I the Jerk, subscribe to Am I the Genius. Everything will be linked down below in the description.